up, y'all? Welcome to another video. If it's your first time coming by my channel, I'm Jeff Rowe and this is Jeff Rowe's Fishkeeping. Today's video, I'm going to show you guys something that I've been wanting to share with you guys for quite a while, but I never really bring it up and I never really talk about it all that much. But it's an important thing in the fish room, and that is what I use as filtration. There are hundreds and hundreds of different types of filters out there in this world at different prices, and if you're not careful, you can really spend too much, and if you're not careful, you can get the wrong stuff. So I'm here today to talk about what filtration I use in the fish room, and hopefully you guys enjoy. What is up, y'all? The video I'm doing today is going to be kind of an interesting video. I'm trying to, and I don't know how I'm going to capture this for you guys, but I'm going to do my best here, so hang in there. What I'm doing today is I'm showing you guys what kind of filtration I use in all my tanks. And the reason why I felt like doing this is because I kind of do it differently than other people that I see in the fish hobby, on YouTube at least. And I guess I'm just gonna have to jump right into it. On most of my tanks, I use a combination of sponge filters, which I've got a big glare over here, but I've got a big sponge filter over here in the corner of this 55 gallon. I use a combination of a sponge filter and a hang on the back. Now this one is a Tetra Whisper, I believe, Whisper 60. And remember that 60 because I'm going to jump into that here in a little bit. And then this one is, boy, that glare is bad. I'm not even going to be able to show you that one, but it's a big one like this one over here in this 50 gallon. And it's rated for, I believe, 40 gallon. It's called a 250 Jumbo. I'm pretty positive though it's rated for a 40 gallon. So in these big tanks, I just feel like even 2 of these sponge filters isn't enough. So I've got a 60, Tetra Whisper 60, and a Jumbo 40 in this 55 gallon and in this 55 gallon. And the reason why I do that is because just with the sponge, my water is cloudy. With the hang on the back and the sponge, my water is crystal clear. You can see in both of these, the water is crystal clear. Now a lot of that is the plant vegetation that I use in there, as well as the substrate that I'm using, as well as the filtration. But if you jump back to that 60 number, see that 60 number right there? It's confusing to the new Fishkeeper. Okay, that 60 is supposedly rated for a 60 gallon tank, but you've got to forget that number. And the reason why you've got to forget that number is they rate it for a 60 gallon tank, and you think, well, this is a 55 gallon tank here, that 60 is perfect, and it is good. I've got it all jacked up on, I've got sponges in the bottom, and then I've got this ceramic biomedia on top that's all seasoned and cycled, and then I've got an extra little filter here at the back end of it. I've even got a filter sponge on the intake. I've got it really jacked up, and it is perfect for this tank, but what you have to think of is your load. I've got probably 300 or 400 shrimp in here. I probably got about 50 guppies in here, but right now I've just got mostly fry and a female, and I've got a bunch of super red bristlenose in this tank. So I could probably make it off of 2 sponge filters right now with the load that I have in there, but I want crystal clear water, so I upped it. If I had a couple of hundred guppies in here, I'd probably have to put another hang on the back on the other side to help with the load, and I'd probably have to do more frequent water changes. Hopefully that makes sense. This little 10-gallon tank over here is mostly a hospital tank and a little grow out tank. It's where if I get some babies of something I'll put in, or if I get new fish I'll put in to quarantine them. I've just got a sponge filter in there. If the water parameters get off, I'll change more frequently on my water changes. Down here in this little 30-gallon tank, I've got a combination. I've got a big jumbo filter over there, which I don't need that big of a sponge filter, but I've got that one cycling for a project that I've got coming on for another tank, and whenever that one's done cycling, I'll put another cycled smaller sponge filter in there. And then I've got a little Whisper 40 hang on the back filter here with a little homemade intake sponge on the intake there, and then I've again got biological ceramic filtration in there, filter floss, and a sponge. Okay, so this one is way overkill because I've only got like 5 fish in here, so I don't really need that much filtration, but I've got it. And I'm always cycling biomedia, and I'm always cycling sponge filter. So my water's crystal clear. Now this tank is pretty algae infested right now. I don't take care of it that well. I don't care. You know, I've got all this Christmas moss. This Java moss sitting in here waiting on a project. I've got some driftwood that I've been floating in water for probably 2 months now. It just won't sink. And yeah, so this tank right here, double on the filtration. On my crayfish, they don't really need that much filtration. I do water changes once a week. Their bio load is really small, so I've just got a little sponge filter in there. I'm not really caring about how crystal clear the water is. You know, I got a bunch of duckweed up there for the nitrates, yada yada yada. So sponge and hang on the back, sponge and hang on the back, sponge and hang on the back, only sponge, okay? And if you really pay attention, bioload's real small on this one, and bioload's real small on this one, so you don't really need that hyper crazy filtration in those 2 tanks. And then my 40-gallon breeder, the bioload has been real big. I've had a lot of fish in this tank. I have been cutting down my population a little bit because of the new Fishroom. I've been moving some fish, so this one's cut down a little bit, but it's only by like 11. I think I've cut it down like maybe 8 to 11 fish, so I've still got a lot of fish in here. My shrimp population is growing in here, and then I've got a few bristlenose in here, so my bioload's big. I've got a sponge filter behind this driftwood. It's rated for a 40-gallon tank, and then I've got a 40 or a 50 aqua clear. I think it's a 50 aqua clear back here, and the reason why I went with this aqua clear is because it is super silent. I make a lot of my videos in here. I live stream in this room, and the sound of these supposed Whisper 60s are loud. You know, this is a loud filter compared to this aqua clear over here. The aqua clear, again, I've got it all ramped up. You know, I've got filter floss, I've got a sponge filter in there, I've got bio rings in there, and then I've also got a large intake sponge on the intake. So this tank right here stays crystal clear, and that's the biggest reason why I do 2. Also, this is a 40-gallon breeder, that sponge filter is rated for 40 gallons, but that doesn't mean anything because my bio load is so huge, I need extra filtration. Same way with this 50. It's rated for 50 gallons. This is a 40-gallon breeder, but don't be fooled. If you pack this tank full of fish, you're going to be doing water changes every day on a filter like that all alone. So, the moral of the story is there's all kinds of different filters. There's all kinds of different prices. There's all kinds of different things you can do, but you got to do and figure for your filtration compared to what your bio load is. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. And yeah, that's what I do in my fish room. Before I leave, guys, sorry for the sound, and hopefully the lighting is good here. Wanted to show you another option for filtration in the fish room. Now this one right here, this is a 90-gallon stock tank that I've had in my basement for the last 8 months or so. And I've had in the past here koi, and right now I've got like 6 or 7 goldfish in here. And I just got done rehoming the koi a few weeks back, and I'm getting ready to rehome these goldfish because I've got another project that I'm going to be working on with this tank. But what I brought you down here to show you is another option for filtration. Now in your average fish tank, this filtration is going to be too messy. The biggest reason why is because there's lots of splash over. So outdoors, I'll show you for instance, right there. See the little wet spot on the concrete floor? But I've got this down in my basement. You can tweak it a little bit to where it doesn't splash so much. Like right now my intake is splashing across the top. Really all I needed to do is finish this. There's a spray bar technique that you can do. So right now it's splashing a little bit out onto this and a little bit onto the floor. But the biggest reason why I brought you down here is to show you. So on my top row, I don't know if you can see inside, in my top row I've got a few layers of foam, and then I've got some filter floss. In the second row I've got a bunch of lava rock and then a bunch of bio rings. I buy these bags of bio rings, they're really cheap. I mean, you can find some that aren't that cheap, but like I'm pretty sure this last batch I bought on Amazon was like 4 or 5 bags of it for, gosh, I want to say $10 or less shipped to the house. And if you can see, I've got a pump down in the water that comes up here and goes into the back of this shower filter, and then I've got holes drilled in every one of these drawers. I've got a video on how I made this that actually did pretty good. You'd have to go to my fish room videos and look up shower filter, shower trickle filter, or something like that. But this right here was pretty inexpensive to make. You know, you can see it's the plastic little Rubbermaid drawers that you buy out at Walmart. It's really cheap to make. And I'm always cycling biomedia. So if I have a catastrophe where one of my filters upstairs goes out, I can just grab a new thing of bio rings and bada bing bada bang. These are cycled, yada yada yada. Just thought I would show you guys that there's other options. And this filter right here, it works great. The water is always crystal clear. You can see every last one of those goldfish. You can see all the way to the bottom, and it works great. I would trust this thing on a 200 or 300 gallon tank. So wanted to show you that real quick before I left. So what'd you guys think? Right now I'm really digging the aqua clear filters, the hang on the back filters. And the reason why is, as you can hear in this fish room that I set in right now, those whisper filters are not really a whisper. They're pretty loud. And that aqua clear, as you can see in the video, is really quiet. I love that it's clear. You can see when it's starting to get nasty, and it's quiet. And that's what I love. They're smaller, they're more sleek. Yeah, but anyhow, Most of my tanks both have a combination of sponge filters and hang on the backs, and they do really good, and that's what works for me. Do whatever works for you. You got to weigh out all the pros and cons, and you know, loud, quiet, hang on the back, sponge, under gravel. You know, there's tons and tons of filters out there, and you have to ultimately choose that. And the price goes into that as well. You know, some people can't afford everything. You know, a lot of my tanks do just have sponge filters as well, if I don't have a big bio load. So if it is your first time coming by my channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll be reminded every time I upload a video. Right now I'm uploading videos on Mondays and Thursdays, and I'm also live streaming every Saturday at 8 p.m. Thanks for coming along for this video. Hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully you enjoyed. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out, y'all.